The heart of the night. Look, Nathan, it's a wild vampire, Elena whispered, peeking through the dense foliage of a lush forest. Elena was a graceful woman with flowing auburn hair that cascaded over her shoulders. She crouched on the forest floor, her eyes wide with curiosity as she carefully avoided the underbrush. Nathan, tall and athletic with short brown hair and deep green eyes, joined her at her level. He gently moved aside the branches and peered into the distance, his gaze fixed on a sight that made his breath catch. A figure emerged from the shadows, a woman perhaps their age, crouched over a man lying motionless on the forest floor. The man was covered in blood, barely clinging to life, while the woman, nearly naked save for a tattered white wrap around her waist, drank from the wounds on his chest. Her raven-black hair flowed around her like a dark veil, and the moonlight highlighted her pale, almost ethereal skin. The scene was both mesmerizing and unsettling. She moved with an almost hypnotic grace, her lips stained with crimson as she fed, her every movement a mix of primal hunger and eerie allure. "So she's the one who's been terrorizing the town," Nathan murmured. Elena nodded, entranced by the sight. "I wonder if she even realizes what she's doing. There have been reports of bloodless bodies turning up every week. They're calling it the work of a vampire fanatic, though most people dismiss vampires as mere myth." The wild vampire finished her feast and, with a final lingering gaze at her fallen prey, stood up. She walked away with a slow, deliberate stride, her back slightly arched as if still savoring her meal. "If we don't stop her, she'll be our downfall," Nathan said quietly. "What should we do?" Elena asked, her voice tinged with both concern and determination. Nathan hesitated, his gaze following the vampire. "We might need to confront her. Let's go." They followed her at a safe distance, moving silently through the underbrush. The forest grew darker as they advanced, but their enhanced senses made navigation effortless. They followed her for what seemed like hours until they reached a small, serene lake. The wild vampire stripped off her wrap and waded into the water, washing the blood from her body. Elena and Nathan watched from the cover of the trees, captivated by the raw, unfiltered beauty of the scene. The sight of her cleansing herself stirred something within them both. A deep, almost primal attraction. "She's powerful, I can feel it," Elena said softly, her gaze fixed on the vampire. Nathan's breathing grew heavy, and his eyes took on a faint, yellowish glow. "Elena, we need to be careful." "I know what I'm doing," Elena replied, determined. "We can't just kill her without understanding her." Nathan's eyes widened in alarm. "Are you sure this is wise?" Elena ignored him, stepping out of the cover and making her way toward the vampire with a mixture of resolve and vulnerability. "Hey!" Elena called out, her voice ringing clear and true. The vampire froze, her head snapping towards the sound. Her eyes, dark and piercing, locked onto Elena's with an intensity that made her heart race. Nathan caught up, standing close behind Elena, his own anxiety palpable. "What do we do now?" Nathan whispered, his voice trembling. Elena took a step forward, her voice steady despite her pounding heart. "We're not here to harm you. We want to help." "Elena, what's your name?" The vampire's eyes flickered with confusion, her posture shifting as if unsure of their intentions. Elena's fangs emerged slightly, a gesture of their shared heritage. "We're vampires too," Elena explained. The vampire revealed her own fangs, which were longer and more menacing. She crouched, ready to pounce, a low growl rumbling from her throat. "Don't be afraid," Elena said, her voice soothing as she backed away slightly. "We just want to help." "Her fangs are more pronounced," Nathan observed, his eyes wide. "It must be because she's lived so wild for so long." Suddenly, the vampire's gaze darted to the horizon. The sun was beginning to rise, its light creeping into the forest. The vampire hurried into a cave hidden behind a moss-covered boulder. "She can't tolerate the sun," Elena explained. "What do we do?" Nathan asked. "I think I can reach her," Elena said, stepping towards the cave's entrance. "This is risky," Nathan warned. "We should wait until she's asleep." Elena shook her head. "No, I believe I can help her." As she entered the cave, Nathan reluctantly followed. The vampire sat on a bed of animal skins, her eyes still fixed on Elena with a mix of curiosity and wariness. Elena approached slowly, extending her wrist, which she bit, letting the blood flow freely. "No, Elena, don't!" Nathan shouted, but it was too late. The vampire's eyes softened as she cautiously approached Elena. She took Elena's wrist and began to drink. As she fed, images and sensations flooded her mind, visions of Elena's past, her struggles, her longing for acceptance, and her journey to embrace her vampire nature. "Stop, please!" Elena gasped, feeling the draining effect. The vampire released her and Elena withdrew, a sense of relief and exhaustion washing over her. The vampire's eyes, now more human, met Elena's with a newfound understanding. "Can you understand me now?" Elena asked, hopeful. "I can," the vampire replied softly. "Thank you." "I'm so glad," Elena said, a warm smile spreading across her face. "What's your name?" "Serafina," the vampire answered. "It's a beautiful name," Elena said, her eyes shining with sincerity. "Would you like to come with us? We can teach you how to live among us." Serafina looked into Elena's eyes, seeing the kindness and warmth reflected back at her. She nodded, her gaze lingering on Elena with a mixture of gratitude and something deeper. "I would like that," Serafina said, her voice barely above a whisper. As they left the cave together, the first light of dawn bathed the forest in a gentle glow, symbolizing the beginning of a new chapter for all three of them. In the quiet embrace of the morning, they walked away, three souls bound together by fate, understanding, and a shared journey toward redemption and hope.